Hi, I am your host, Leonette Talley, and you are listening to Virago 24/7. Virago is Latin for female warrior, and 24/7 is for all day, every day. Virago 24/7 is a weekly podcast that brings diverse women together to talk about life and our experiences in this world. We share our views on self-love, mental health, marriage, children, friendships, and really anything that needs to be talked about. Here, you will find everyday growth, everyday healing with everyday warriors. Just give me my space to move. 'Cause it's my thoughts, what I want, and I want what I want. So today's topic is all about raising sons, raising boys. And with me today, I have my sister, Monica. Hello, Monica.
Hi.
How's it going all the way from Ohio?
Oh, it's going great. We have snow. It's awesome.
Nice.
You want like my spiel right now?
Yes, ma'am. Tell us how many boys you have. How old are they? What are their names?
I have 3 sons. Braden is my oldest. He's 18. He's biracial. I don't know if you wanted that information or not.
Yeah, whatever you want to say.
Then I have Maddox. Maddox is 12. He's in middle school. And then I have Jackson, who is 4.
And new to the scene, new to the podcast is my friend Tanika Carithers. Hello, Tanika. Welcome.
Hello, Leonette. Hello, everyone here. Okay, so yes, my name is Tanika Carithers, and I have one son. His name is Cameron Carithers. He is 18. He will actually be 19 in about 2 days, since on January the 21st, he'll be 19. And just for the record, because we have a very diverse group here, I am Black or African American, however you want to call it. And my son is Black. I'm Black and his father's Black.
Everybody Black.
Everybody Black.
All right. And then we have...
Everybody's Black.
Well, because Monica said her son is biracial. And Monica's white, and then her other 2 boys are white, so
I'm white.
That might pertain to what we're going to talk about. I don't know where the conversation's going to lead us, so that might be important information. And then we have Miss Shiney Eapen, shiny like the sun.
Thank you so much, Leonette, for having me. Yes, my name is Shiney. I introduce myself as shiny like the sun because usually people don't hear it like shiny, but yes, that's my name, an adjective, but I am the noun.
I love that.
It's cute.
I have 2 boys, Gavin and Dylan. Gavin is 11 and Dylan is 9. And I am a new homeschool mom this year, which we made the decision to do due to COVID and quarantine life. And it's been really exciting.
Nice.
I've learned a lot and I'm excited to share. And since we're talking about where we're from, I am from the country, India, in the continent of Asia.
Thank you for that education, Shiny. I like it. For those that don't know. So we have all the races today, and I'm Leonette, obviously, and I have Khalil. He's 12, and that's it. Just the one son. So, and yeah, if you guys didn't know, if this is your first time listening,
Hispanic.
I'm Hispanic. Yes, I'm Hispanic. So we got some white, we got some Black, we got some Indian, and we got some Hispanic. So we'll have all the perspectives of raising boys. So I love it. Okay, so I know you guys have a lot to talk about. So hopefully you came with some awesome perspective and information. I was reading this article online, and it was just saying, because I'm trying to raise my son to be, he has his dad to help him, be tough and with the sports and the athletics. And, I want him to be kind and empathetic and all those things. So that's, we kind of balance each other out when it comes to that. But this article is saying what not to do when raising boys. The first one was expect them to be emotionally tough. So do not expect them to be emotionally tough. Like, tough it up, don't cry, it was one of those things. What do you guys think about that?
I agree with that one, what not to do. I've never told any of my boys to like suck it up or not feel what they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with that one.
Same with me. Like, I don't ever say don't cry. I'm like, dude, cry it out. Yeah, you should be pissed off. Like when he broke his arm the last time, he was so, I mean, it was one of those cries where it was coming from his soul and he couldn't, it was like 3 a.m. and I thought he was like, his arm was hurting and he was in pain. He's like, no, he's like, I'm just so upset that this happened again and that he couldn't play football. For the very first time he was playing tackle and he broke his arm in the very first game. And so that night we just sat there and I cried with him because it's like, there was nothing I can do but just cry it out. He cried it out. And then after that, he's like, it is what it is. And kept it moving. So what do you guys think, Shiney, Tanika?
I think that's great because I think that's you showing empathy towards him and not telling him to toughen up. And I think empathy is like teaching him how to teaching him kindness, and you are the parent and he is looking to you and you're the person who's going to model it. You can preach to him all you want, be this, be that, but if you model that behavior, that is what he will be.
Mm-hmm. Would you do that with your boys?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is. So I believe that exactly what you role modeling is the way to teach them. You can tell your kids all day long, be nice, treat everyone with kindness, have good manners. But if you don't have good manners, you don't treat strangers with kindness, you don't speak to, the service staff well, you don't open doors for strangers, you don't do those things, you can't expect your children to.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I agree like 50% with what you guys are saying. This is Tanika. And the reason why I say that is, yes, I do agree like in certain situations, like with Khalil with the, I do think you have to tap into their emotional sides on certain things of saying, yes, it's okay for you to cry or to, express your feelings, definitely. But at the same token, to me, yes, there are times, and there have been times, because my son now is, about to be 19, growing up when I have told him, toughen up, you're going to be a man, and maybe that's just a society thing or whatnot. So I did tell him, or I expressed to him as growing up that, yes, it's okay I want you to treat people fairly and all of those things. But at the same token, some things as a boy, you need to, I'm not trying, I don't want to say it, but you can't be a little punk kid. Because if another guy or someone comes up to you and does something to you, you can't run off like, oh, you're afraid of them. I'm like, you have to toughen up. Mm-hmm. You have to let you stand for who you are and be who you are and don't let nobody, take over you to a certain extent. So that's why I say it's the 50-50, because the emotional portion and in society, I do feel like people expect, or we, expect men to be of a certain caliber. Like say we like the article say, don't expect them not to be emotionally tough, but there is a part of them where they should be, because I feel like also that as with a woman, or when you're with me, is I need you to be emotionally tough, my stamina. You know what I'm saying? As the man, when you get older, I need you to be able to handle certain things. If I can't as a female.
But so. Do you think you can be both though? Because I think
that's why I say like a 50. Yeah. So I kind of like straddle the line with that. So I don't say completely no. And not completely yes, but I think it depends on the situation. So I don't think you just completely say no. But
I think some parents don't allow their sons.
Yeah, some don't even have any
emotion,
yeah,
like none, like zero.
No,
like,
I think they should have emotion because, I don't think it's just a zero line to say no. You should always be hardcore. You should not have any emotion. No, because they'll never know how to express themselves. But there are times when I just feel like you have to figure out what's that balance for a guy. For and the same with I know we're talking about guys, but the same for women as us as people as human beings, but. To me, I think there is more pressure on men in our society or in this world that, you should be a tough guy. That's what they're portrayed to be. You're supposed to be tough. You're the man. You're supposed to be up front, lead, and That's just my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. I do agree with that, but I feel like it's okay. I think you can do both. Like I've seen Philip, my husband. I mean, he's tough. He leads. He's strong. But I've seen him have emotions, and I've seen him, be sad or upset.
So that's why I say I feel it's that 50-50. You got to know when to, and I ain't gonna say when not to, but I don't think it's just a flat line of saying no. Don't be emotional tough, because there are times when you need to be.
Actually, now that you're saying that though, Tanika, because so Khalil, as much as I agree with you now that you're saying that, because I do want him to show emotions, but like he has these panic attacks and these like anxiety. And so when he was healed with his arm recently, he was able to go back to playing sports. Like he literally in the middle of his tournament, like stopped. He was freaking out. He was like, when you have a panic attack, your heart is racing, you just think you're about to die. And he wanted to quit and like leave.
And that's when you say toughen up.
And you're right. And I did. I was like,
that's why I say I've done it.
Yeah.
And my son has played sports all his life. So that's why I'm like, I've seen that balance from basketball, baseball, and just life in general, or how people come at them in a certain way. And I'm like, hey, no, you got to toughen up. This is a time when, yes, you toughen up.
Well, and that's what I said. I'm like, listen, I get it. Because I know the feeling. Breathe through it. Go over there. Like, go breathe and do your whatever you need to do over there. But we're not leaving. Your team needs you.
Right.
Obviously, my mama instincts wanted just to pick them up and run off. I'm like, let's just count. Let's just leave. But yeah, like you can't. So I get that.
But don't you think that you kind of grew into that though? Because I also, in the beginning, when my oldest son was young, when he faced any adversity, anything that he struggled with, any problems,
you were there.
I kind of stepped in, or I told him to walk away, or I told him, don't worry about it. Something kind of not to get involved. But as time went...
Are you talking about like conflict with other people?
Yes.
Okay.
But as time went on, I realized it's still coming back. And I didn't like it. And I realized he needed to learn how to defend himself. And it would come back to me because I also learned that I didn't know how to defend myself.
Right.
I knew how to defend him.
Right, because you're his mom, so you get into your protection mode. But that's what I'm saying. And like I say, of course, it would probably be a little different for me now because, like I say, my son is about to be 19. So, yes, I've kind of gone through those different stages. But Leonette knows me very well that I'm a very straightforward type. So, even when he was younger, I didn't necessarily always have that, step in really quickly. My husband may have that more so than I do. So, we're a little opposite. Because just a quick story, I remember when he was younger and he was riding his bike and we kept telling him he would come down the hill in the cul-de-sac. And I told him several times, like, when you get here, mash your brakes. When you get to this location, you have to mash your brakes so that you can stop. And he would just kept doing it and he wouldn't mash his brakes. So I said, okay, the next time when he comes down, I'm not going to tell him mash his brakes. He didn't. He ran straight into the tree. And my husband was like, you didn't tell him? I said, no, I bet you the next time he'll mash his brakes. And guess what? He mashed his brakes. I'm like, you have to learn to listen. And then there's things that you learn to develop, Yeah, it just happens over time. But I agree. I think it may come as kids get older because sooner or later you're like, I need you to be able to take care of yourself. You have, because mom is not going to always be there. So that's why I say that.
I don't. When it comes to standing up to people, I don't say walk away. If someone's up on you, like that's just me.
That's me too.
I'm like, you're never going to get in trouble for defending yourself. Like now, if you start it, okay, that's a different story. But if you're defending yourself because someone started, you have all the permission to do what you need to do.
I agree.
That's what we tell our kids here. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but that's what we do because I don't want him. And he's already I always say he's not the quote unquote typical child, which I don't know what the typical boy is, but he's just not like this rambunctious, overly like hyper. He's just not one of those boys. He's very quiet and soft spoken and introverted and observant. So I don't want him, like you said, like I don't want people to think that he's like this punk.
the
And
pushover.
he can defend himself. Like it's happened where a teacher was like, you know, he got in trouble for hitting a kid, and I asked him, and he was so upset. He's like, well, I guess he pushed him down. The teacher didn't see that. They saw what Khalil did, and I emailed her back. I was like, sorry, like he defended himself. That boy put his hands on him, and it is what it is. I'm like, he's not gonna get in trouble for that. So, so don't email me anymore about that. Like seriously, like talk to the kid who started it. I'm like, he's not in trouble. I'm sorry, and you can look at me sideways, but. And then it was horrible. We took him out that school. It was horrible. And then she emailed me another time. This time it wasn't provoked. And I'm just like, I'm going to talk to my child. And I don't think my kids are perfect. And I'm not one of those parents that's like, my kids are perfect. So what the teacher's saying is like, I'm not one of those. I'm more old school where you better prove that you're not guilty. But in this instance, I just know Khalil, and that's just not who he is.
You know, he would have had to been provoked to do such things.
Exactly,
Yeah.
like him. Now, my girl, my little one, I don't know. She might go rogue and slap somebody for no reason. But him, I know for sure that's just not him. So fight if you need to.
Well, on that topic, which is kind of on the bullying kind of front, I just finished a book called Unselfie. Which is, you know, really popular right now because we're in a selfie generation, right? And it's called Unselfie. It's written by Michelle Borba. It's called Why Empathetic Kids Succeed in Our All About Me World. And it was really interesting. And what it's about is how, because this selfie generation, which is all about social media and kids being on the screens and the cell phones, which is very normal. And unfortunately, because of that, all kids want to be famous. They want a YouTube channel. They, you know, which was not the norm. But because of that, they're lacking empathy. You know, we're you know, narcissism is on the rise. You know, it's
right.
A selfie.
I do agree with you because, like with my sons, what I did notice for him, especially going through the high school years, and now it's definitely moved down to middle school age kids, and you know, almost elementary school kids. Yeah. You know, with being on social media or YouTube and all these different things, everybody wants to be so popular, so liked, so, you know, just engulfed. And then it's like when they don't get enough likes or enough this or enough followers and TikTok, I mean, it has taken away their communication skills, you know, amongst their peers and others, because of course they don't talk to anybody really. And it just puts them where they're disconnecting as far as how to even socialize to me in society. You know, it's really placing not only men, or we're talking about boys, but placing the youth at such a disadvantage. Such a disadvantage. But
well, what I was saying is, so what she was saying is that as parents, if we can promote empathy in our children, studies have shown that it is the effective antidote to bullying, aggression, prejudice, and racism.
I agree with that.
But
most people aren't going to raise their children like that. So we have to raise since we know this, we need to show them empathy and teach them empathy, but also we have to teach them not everyone is raised that way. Right. You know, in the case with Khalil, this boy, it was the same little boy in his class. And he's just like, I just think he doesn't get hugged enough at home, mommy. Like, he's like, I think his mom just lets him do whatever and he just gets away with whatever. And I'm like, really? That's what you got? And this is why he does that. Yeah. But not every parent is going to teach their kids that. So we have to teach our kids to defend themselves too.
I agree with you. I agree that it's not possible, but we can agree that I'm pretty sure every parent is annoyed about the selfie.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The ones that care, yeah, for sure.
They're annoyed that their kids are on screens a lot. That's a common conversation. And if we can all like think about what can stop that. it's empathy. It's building empathy. It's caring about others. Mm-hmm. And when you care about others and you want that for your future, like I want to grow up and do something that cares for others. How can I start that now? Let's model that. Let's, as a family, go care for others. Do something that cares for others.
Right. Yeah.
So that was what I was
Monica,
trying to get to.
You're real quiet over there, Monica.
I mean, I'm just listening. I feel like everybody's kind of veered off topic and read a little bit too much into what that specific no was. You know, it was just simply saying that we should allow our kids to feel. It doesn't say allow them to feel but not defend themselves, or allow them to feel but, you know, they're going to be the punk who gets bullied on the playground every day. I think it's, you know, like Tanika was saying, yeah, it's 50-50 as far as, yes, I love you. I want you to feel these things. I want you to be empathetic and different things like that. But yes, as a man, as a boy, you should be tough. For me, I kind of teeter-totter with that a little bit, because my children, granted, not just in age, but just them as a whole are so completely different. And the way that I am with Brayden, you know, he's my athletic, funny, outgoing gamer kid. I don't give two shits if he takes 20 selfies a day. Like, that does not affect me in one way or another. I feel like that's their generation. That's what they do. And does that mean that he's not empathetic? No way. He is honest and caring and trustworthy. That's who he is as a person. I just think that with him, it's a generational thing. Now, if we go and we talk about my Maddox is my sensitive kid. He is a marine biology expert. He's quiet. He's caring. Would he be one having 100 likes from his selfie? Yes. You know, so it's different with each child, in my opinion. So I don't feel like, or at least for me personally, I can't generalize and say, you know, the selfie world has taken over, because it's just so different for each individual. And yes, you can speak as a whole on a population or a generation. And I've, you know, watched the documentaries and stuff. I know that it affects the youth negatively. And that's, you know, something that's very sad, and it touches me too. But I feel like us as parents, as moms, we just have to be in tune with our kids. You know, is Khalil's friend not being hugged enough? Maybe. And shame on that mom for not giving him what he needs, his love language. Shame on her for not knowing, you know, hey, this is what I need. For me, it was pretty easy to like adapt with my kids and their differences until Jackson came along. And all this gray hair right here, and whew, my hairdresser, she makes lots of money because he is wild and he is on the go, and he's a daredevil, and he loves insects and dirt, and he likes 1,000% from wake up to falling out. He is different. He is like boy times a million. Like any kind of stereotype from athletic, rowdy, wild. I mean, jump off a cliff.
He's not afraid of anything.
He wants to fight. He wants to shoot Nerf guns. He wants to, I mean, do all your typical boy things. I don't know what that child's going to be one day. Whew.
So he's going to be a stunt double. He's going to be a stunt man.
What'd you say?
He's going to be a stunt man.
No, boo. He's going to do his own stunts. He's going to do his own stunts, and he's going to be the actor that just does his own stuff. Oh, he's not going to want to sit on the sidelines.
Four.
No, that was me.
And she is not. She's not exaggerating about him. Ooh, like he is on high. Mm-mm. He's like on 1,000. Okay, so the next one was what not to do is do not assume they will never be victims. So I didn't write every little thing down, but it said, don't assume they will never be victims. So like how, you know, we teach our girls to, you know, watch for, touching. And, we kind of preach that to our daughters, but do we do that with our boys? We just assume that they'll never be victims of anything like that.
Well, I didn't with my son. I mean, at least till this day, I don't think he's ever been, if we're talking about like sexually.
I don't think it's just
then,
sexually.
okay.
I just think.
Just a victim of anything.
Of anything, correct. Correct.
So I definitely tried to make sure that we communicated and talked to our son about inappropriate touching, because like you say, it's just not little girls. If that, when you talk about that from a sexual perspective, because it's little boys too. And then a lot of times boys may not say anything or come about. I mean, you think about how much went on with the Boy Scouts, a couple that's still going on. That's a mess. And that's just one prime example. But with Cameron, definitely talk to him about inappropriate touching. And I would tell, I don't care who it is. I'm like, even your dad, I'm like your own father, uncles, church members, whomever,
Coaches,
your inner,
since he's athletic.
Coaches, period. And that perspective, even from that point of view, just quickly, I didn't even like for my son to spend the night over other people's houses. We didn't do that with him growing up. I'm like, no, because I don't know what's going on in other people's homes, and I mean, if it was outside of our family, we're like, no, you can hang out them. He only had maybe one or two friends that we got to know very, very well for him to be able to spend a night at their home. But I just didn't allow that, I guess, because also I grew up not really spending the night at people's homes. I didn't feel you had the need to. And, but victims of other things, as a young Black male, I have to teach my son, and we have had to teach him over and over, and hope that we have taught him that there are just certain things that you cannot do, unfortunately, just because you are a person of color. That may apply to all of us at this table with our children. I don't know, but especially as a Black male. And he went primarily to all Black elementary school. He went to a charter school for middle school. And then we both knew we wanted to change up his diversity for high school. So we moved, which we're close to Decula. So I'll just say he went to Decula High, very interracial. And, I really had to hone in on him to understand that your white friends who you hang out with, because my son is very athletic. When he played baseball, it was maybe him and his cousin went there. They were the only two Black kids on the baseball team. Everybody else was white. So I'm like, when you go and hang out with your friends, if it's after a game or you go do certain things, if they're doing something mischievous, you will be the first one that they're looked at. I hate to say it, but this is who the store clerk is going to look at first. If the police come, you're the one they're going to look at first. Again, both of us are Black, and our son is Black. He's not a light-skinned Black kid. He's Black, and that's fine. So unfortunately, there's just certain things that throughout time that I feel we do have to tell them and tell him that, yes, you can possibly be a victim just because of who you are, basically. So, and it's unfortunate that society places things on people of color just because of your color. So,
I mean, with Khalil, we're just now. I mean, he's 12, so we're just now having those conversations. Especially, I don't know if we would necessarily have those conversations if it weren't for what's going on now, in our country. I know it's always happened, but it's so in our face that you have to have a conversation. Right. For example, we were at Target the other day and he likes to wear his hoodie, and I'm like, don't, when you're in a store, just take the hoodie off. It's not cold in here. There's no reason for that. And he's so innocent. He's just like, why? He's like, why, mommy? And I'm just like, just don't. And then I told him about Trayvon Martin, and now he's just kind of like, he's so sensitive that it freaked him out. And I'm like, it's just the world we live in. And I'm not trying to freak you out, but that's a trigger. I'm like, just take the hood off. We're in the Target. There's cameras everywhere. Just take it off. We don't need it on. And he was buying a wallet, and he accidentally, I had a cart, and for some reason he had a reflex of putting it in his pocket. I'm like, take that out right away. Take the hood off. Take the don't put anything in your pockets. Like, what are we doing? And it was so innocent.
Because it's pure innocence.
Yeah.
You're not, but
people don't see it as innocent.
No,
because they don't know him. They don't know that he's a kind-hearted, sweet boy. So we're just now having conversations that I probably wouldn't have had because, like I've said in previous shows, like, you know, we grew up in a blended, very diverse family. We didn't really talk about stuff. We just didn't talk about stuff like that in our family. It's like we're all brothers and sisters, and he's black and we're Hispanic and she's white, and it just wasn't a thing ever.
Obviously, because I'm the white sister.
This is my white sister, everybody.
I said I can touch on that too. It's not that, you know, it wasn't talked about like it was non-existent. We were just us.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like she said, it wasn't like, oh, you know, Jose's the blackest one, but he's Hispanic, you know, and Adam, he's the one that really has black in him, but he's light like Leonette is. You know, it just wasn't a thing for us. Now, when I had Braden, I was young. Braden will be 19 this year too. He's in college at UVA. I remember the first time I ever remembered it because, like Leonette was saying, we didn't really talk about it. There really was no need. It just wasn't. It was just, we were together. We were a family. This was us. So I'm pushing my infant child through the Mall of Georgia, and I'm with my sister, and I'm with one of our really great friends, Tiffany, who is a Black woman. And we're walking through the Mall of Georgia, and Tiffany, all of a sudden, she's like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "No. What are you talking about? You didn't see the way that girl just looked at you and looked at your baby and looked back at you and rolled her eyes?" And I was like, no, I did not see all that madness. Mm-mm. Because I don't care. You know, I'm not, that's not who I am. But she was hot about it, you know, and it was a Black female who had done this whole looking and rolling of the eyes and, you know, whatever. And I'm just like, Tiffany, it's okay. You know, it's okay. That's her issue. That's not my issue. That's her thing. So anyway, that was the first thing. And then anything that had come up, you know, she was very like on me, make sure that you tell Braden, you know, if he ever gets pulled over, what he needs to do. I'm like, Tiff, I know, I got it. So I have friends looking out for me. Mm-hmm. But for Braden, when it really hit me, and I'm not talking trash about Virginia. So my son went to high school, little town of West Point, Virginia. I'll call him out right now real quick. I hope this girl's mom's listening. Shoot.
Send her the link, Monica. Just send it to her.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I should. If I only knew her name, I would too. Oh, great day.
We're better than that now. We're better than that.
When they go low, we go high.
That's right. Okay. When they go low, we go high, Monica.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know. No, I'm no.
What's she do, Monica? What's she do?
So my son is attractive and he's intelligent. He graduated with an above a 4.0 GPA. He's awesome.
He's a football player.
He's good to look at. He's intelligent. He's a football player. He played basketball. He played baseball. He played all the balls. Okay. So this little girl he was dating, white little girl from West Point. She ended up having to break up with my son because her parents had a problem. And I was like, they had a problem with what, honey? They had a problem?
With the parents?
He asked me to send him pictures of him and I so that this girl's parents could see that I'm white.
Oh, God.
It's a good dang thing I didn't live in West Point. Help me, Jesus. That would not have been a nice time. That would not have been
So she broke up. She had to break up with him because the parents.
She had to break up with him because of the color of his skin. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you go ahead and you get your little hick boyfriend who's going to work at the little steel mill, stank as hell. Go ahead. Get you that one. Because you don't even deserve him.
You're killing Monica. You're killing me, Smalls. I love it.
sorry, but it's ignorant. It's sad and it's ignorant, and I'm very passionate about that. And I wish that it wasn't a thing, Tanika. I wish that wasn't a conversation that you have to have with your son. Leanna, the same. You know what I mean? I get it. I understand. And it's frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. So I agree. And it,
you crazy. Cheers, Monica. We're drinking wine, people. We're drinking wine. We're cheering. It's Friday night. We're recording on a Friday night. Come on. Right.
I just want to piggyback off of Monica a little bit because, yes, that is like a very unfortunate story, but it is a very true, realistic thing that happened and has gone on for years. Like you say, you didn't experience it or notice it until you moved to a certain location and now experiencing it with this small town of white people who basically did, like you say, that particular family, we will just say, because we can't say that was the whole community, but that family was just kind of, hey, if obviously he doesn't look all white, so we need to see who his parents are, or what is he mixed with. And then if that was just not approved for them, it's not an approval. And one thing that I have always raised, just when I say not just I, because definitely he has a great father, and I'm so thankful for my husband as being a part of his, of us to walk this whole journey together with him. But if one thing we have always taught him to do, and it's like, I don't care who you're with or how they look or whatever the case may be, is that we are all human beings. We're human beings, and the main thing is that you treat each other with respect, dignity, and it doesn't matter to me their color, race, things of that nature. But I will have to say, Monica, when we moved, again, I told you he went to primarily all black till he got to high school, and his first girlfriend was white. I mean, all the way white, probably like,
not a little white, all the way white.
Not a little white, nice little girl. But it was a culture shock to me because I had embraced in him so many things over the years that just I wasn't prepared or expecting him to necessarily have a white girlfriend. I guess I should say, being honest. So I had to step back and say, okay, what have we taught him? What have we been teaching him all this time? And is it really a factor? Because this is what you've stated. So is it a factor? And honestly, I tell him, I said, hey, if this is what or whom you want to date or be with, again, long as her family, because this generation to me, I think they're starting to understand, or they may have a whole better grasp on when we talk about the dynamics of race amongst the different people than our generation or those before us, like my grandparents, completely different. But what I just explained to him is that if you walk this journey, you have to understand who her parents are, how are they receiving you and their family. Because prime example with your son, they was like, no, her parents wanted that to cut off. It wasn't necessarily probably your son and the girl. It's the parents are like, no, he's black, you can't date him. And it's unfair and culture wise. But I just told him, hey, if you walk this journey, you have to know what you're facing and you have to know what you're dealing with. Because just like when you pushed your son in the stroller and someone looked at you sideways because you had an interracial child, when I took them out periodically, because they were like 10th grade, 9th, 10th grade, if we went to the store, I'm like, hey, she can go with us. I would see the looks, even in 2018 or 19 when this was going on, that my son and the girl would get from other people at the restaurant or at the mall. And I'm like, this is something that you have to decide. Is that what you want to deal with? Because even in the 21st century, it's still not 100% acceptable by all. So you just have to choose your standards on that and what you decide you want to deal with. But it was a culture shock to me. But I just told him, it's your choice, and who you decide to be with, it really doesn't matter to me. Just long as you respect them and they respect you. Mm-hmm. I don't care.
Yeah.
So my parents, so like my story is like, I guess, I don't know if it's I know we all came from different stories, backgrounds, but my parents immigrated and they put us in a bubble. Our parents, my family just, we stayed in I went to an all Indian church and I had all Indian friends growing up, and I kind of stayed in this like bubble, and we all went to the same school, and that was kind of how I grew up. And then when we moved, I went to a public.
You're in Georgia or like
No,
in
I grew up
Florida.
I grew up in South Florida, and when I went to public high school, I got a mixed group of friends, and I had white best friends who I still have now, and they treated me like gold, and they still do. And never once did I question, anything. So I don't have the same experience that my boys have, and why I say that is my oldest has had some trouble because he's been the only boy of color, in school, and we've come into some problems. He's gotten beaten up on the school bus. He's gotten, a lot of horrible things said to him, so badly that he's wanted to end his life. I mean, we've had lots of therapy. He's, still in therapy, so
He's both your sons, you don't mind me asking? Or like your oldest?
My oldest has had it the worst.
Oh, okay.
My youngest has had some trouble, but not too bad, not as bad. But
And it's all because of nationality.
yes,
Right.
color of your skin, his skin. Yes, and I wasn't used to it. So at first, like what I was saying earlier, how I kind of would say, "Oh, walk away from it," or
Right.
things like that. I quickly learned.
Got it.
Because I remember the first time I had to deal with it, I was told by a teacher that I need to teach my son what to say, or how to deal with it. That was her response when I complained about it. This was like at a very, very young age. Like my oldest was like 5. And I said, my reply was, I don't know what to say to people when they say things like that to me. So how am I to teach that to my child? Because like I said, I was kind
You
of in a
never
bubble.
had to face it.
Yeah, because I was kind of in this protective bubble. I really was. So quickly learned that I had to teach my child, things to say, and recognize really quickly who your real friends are.
Right.
And that your real friends wouldn't speak to you that way. So, and it was very hard to hear such, things. So I empathize with all, people of color, of differences, every type, because it is hard. It's hard to be called out for being different in any way. So, and during the social climate of this, political climate during this time, my kids, our whole family was my kids even they were all
Talking about it.
They were talking about it. Yeah, absolutely. They care.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm sorry your sons had to experience that. Because that's really, I mean, for me personally, I just kind of, that's really emotional because as a parent, like you say, if you've never had to deal with it, it definitely puts you in a even, I don't want to say worse, but like you said, you also didn't know how to convey that to your children. Like, okay, we've never had to experience this. So now we have just, been up and rooted into a whole different environment where we would assume that as people, we all should, as kids, especially at 5, like you say, that was happening to your son at 5, that at 5, what do you know? For another kid to either bully you, badger you, or just simply treat you differently just because of your skin color, that definitely comes from home. Because children are taught things about others. And and that's what we grow into as human beings, which is so unfortunate. And that was something I've also had to teach my son throughout the time is I'm like, you never know what's going on at someone else's kitchen table. Because that's what I would tell him. I say, when we sit down, this is our family. This is our kitchen table and what we talk about. But the next door neighbor could be having, and we live in a very, very diverse community. I don't know what they're talking about at their kitchen table. You know, my white neighbors across the street from me, or we have white people across the street from me. We have Asians in my community. I mean, we have a very, very diverse community. But again, like I said, it is unfortunate that that's what this world is. And it puts people to where if they are not taught, or like you say, you've been teaching your children and even getting, help yourself, just enlightening yourself or educating yourself about people and people's behaviors, because that's what you turn into. If that's what they're taught at an early age, it's just going to stimulate usually as an adult. So, it's really unfortunate. And I do want to say this because I don't really know who will listen to your podcast.
I got lots of people listening. Okay. Hello, people.
I definitely don't feel like, because like
that's right.
Which is why I'm glad that, when Leonette and I kind of talked about this, of even having her sister on here who's white, because it's not about to just say it's all white people, because I don't believe that. We even have people within our own race that, kind of downplay or dictate each other. I mean, especially for me as being Black, in the Black community, sometimes depends on how light are you, how dark are you, it's like, but we're all Black, but is the light skin is a little better than the darker skin? Mm-hmm. I'm like, really? I mean, it's just, it just really phantoms me that it's,
I don't know if this was the same for Leonette as for me, but the first time that I ever, because like I said, we were just us, we were our family. We didn't all have the same last names or anything, but we all lived in the same house, and this was us. But my brother, Adam, who's biracial, he's Leonette's skin color. Somebody was picking on him at the playground.
We're like a caramel color, for those who don't know what we look like.
A mocha light.
We're like a mocha.
A nice caramel.
A nice, beautiful mocha. I like it.
Yeah, that I wish I
more
had.
Caramel.
But I can never achieve, no matter how
we're more
much I
caramel.
tan.
A caramel macchiato.
I like it. Sounds delicious. Okay, what happened
Yeah, that's my jam. Yeah.
So what happened with Adam?
So he was being picked on the playground from some little Swiss white kids. So he's being picked on, saying that my mom pooped him out and that's why he was brown. And the reason his palms were lighter was because God spray painted him up against the wall, all this kind of stuff. And my brother broke that little shit's arm right on the playground.
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm.
The ignorance there, but that's home training, like you said.
So the next thing, what not to do while raising your boys, is what this article was saying. Pressure them. Do not pressure them to be good at sports. I mean, Khalil's athletic. We don't pressure him every year. I'm like, do you want to play soccer? Do you want to play football? Like I don't care. I don't care if you're athletic or not, but that's here. Of course, Philip wants him to be athletic and play sports.
I think it's more of a guy thing.
Yeah. But it's not
I don't
a
think
pressure.
you should pressure him. Yeah.
It's not like you have to do this.
I'm a fan of athletics because it keeps them busy. It keeps them out of trouble. Exercise is, it releases endorphins. It keeps them happy. I like it, but I also think it's good to encourage them to do what they love. And if you realize that you love it more than them, that's the
problem. Right. Yeah. That's usually the problem.
But Maddox doesn't play. He's not interested in sports, correct? Maddox is Monica's middle child.
Maddox takes a reptile class.
Yeah,
he likes
my youngest doesn't. My youngest doesn't play anything really either. But as long as he's just active outside and does things outside, I think it's healthy to be outside in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the next thing on the list, what not to do, is presume they will grow up to date girls. Like, is that something that's entered your mind?
So you assume that they're going to be gay?
Yeah, it says when raising boys, do not assume that they will just grow up to date girls. So I guess they're just saying just be open. I don't know. That's what the article is saying.
I never thought about it. I mean, in my heart and soul, I am still just a firm believer in Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. So that's my take. I'm gonna assume you're gonna be with the girl. That's not
until you tell
I
me.
never heard that before. Adam and Steve.
I mean, I'll assume until you tell me, but I will love you no matter. I mean, I'm gonna love my kids no matter what. I don't.
I mean,
care.
well, so that's the difference, though. So I'll love my son regardless, no matter what, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to condone what he decides to do if he was to become, I guess, a gay. Because I don't know.
What do you mean condone?
Gay? I don't know. Like as far as in our household, like, no, I'm not going to be having family dinner with you and the boyfriend or marriage. No.
See, I would.
Because I'm condoning it then if I'm
But it's not for us. I don't know.
It's not my judgment for him, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm like, that's not. So it's not that I'm I guess ultimately, yes, I would just assume that you're going to be with the female. If you're not, again, it is your life, but this is still my position and my choice of what I believe. And so that's my belief in it. And if you decide to do that, you just do that over here, and this is what I'm gonna be doing over here. So you would keep
them separate?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I read that your question differently. I would prefer my children don't date in high school at all.
Really?
Yes.
I'm okay with my kids.
I know. I mean, I think I'm definitely not the norm, but I would prefer that they don't because, and my reasons are that I just want them to have fun with their friends. Obviously focus on school and playing and having fun, but really like focus on their friends and have fun and enjoy high school life and being a teenager, and then in college. The same, but that might be a more likely of a time of meeting someone. So I can't say that I'm, close to it, but I'd like them to wait because I think boys mature slower, and it would, if there's any kind of influence I have in their lives, any in that department, I would tell them to just to wait because there's plenty of time.
So you are talking to them about that now, like you want them to wait to date until college?
I slowly insert my opinion.
Well, did you? I just had a quick question.
I'm really old-fashioned, can you tell?
Well, I just had a quick question before Monica jumps. Did you not date during high school? Like,
we weren't allowed.
Oh, you weren't allowed. Okay, well, that's what I was going to ask. Is that a cultural thing?
We weren't allowed.
Okay, you're not allowed.
We weren't allowed. My little crew, we all like the most like my core. Like we didn't have like solid boyfriends. Like some of us did. Like some of my outer crew did, but most of us didn't, and that's why we got so close. And we're still 20 years later. 27 years, we're still so close. And why? Because we didn't have boyfriends. We just wanted one really badly. Right. But we enjoyed it. And going back, the ones that did, they wish they did it. They're like, when they see us on Facebook still getting together, the ones that had a boyfriend all through high school, like you can tell in their comments.
Well, wait. They didn't hang out just because they had a boyfriend? That doesn't make sense.
And I'm not saying this is everybody, but like a 15-year-old gets mesmerized by that boyfriend and they want to spend every waking moment with them, and it happens. It's not everybody, but it happens. Right. They get
focused.
I didn't really date a lot in high school, so I don't know. And then Kaylin didn't date until recently.
So I'm just going by my experience.
Yeah.
And I can only go by that. So my mom said, keep the body holy. And I
keep the who?
Keep the body holy.
The body holy.
The body
holy.
So basically, keep your body holy.
Yes.
But I like how she says it. Keep the body holy.
Keep the body holy.
I love it.
Yes. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
And your mother was right. really,
I like
she's right.
it. To hear more amazing female warrior stories, hit that subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating. We would truly appreciate the love. Now back to our show. So the next thing on the list was don't talk them out of their fears. So if they have fears, don't talk them out of it.
Are you thinking like more so if they were to express a fear to the parents,
I guess
and then
so.
you kind of talk them out of not being fearful of something, maybe?
I think with Khalil, because he is a fearful child. Like, he's been like this since he was a baby. Like, I used to call him my little old man baby. Mm-hmm. My old man child. Because how he is, like, imagine a baby who just observes and doesn't show a lot of emotion. That was pretty much him. And so he's always been, he's not a risk taker. He has to observe, make sure it's not going to hurt me, and then I'll try
and
it.
then you'll do it.
Which is weird because he loves football and he loves soccer. So that's just weird because those are contact sports. But I try to talk him through the fears, though, like asking him questions. Okay, so what do you think is going to happen? Well, I might hurt myself. Okay, so if you hurt yourself, then what's going to happen? So I try to do, I think I read that somewhere, where you just ask the questions, let them answer it. And then at the end, they realize, okay, there's
Maybe
nothing.
it's not that bad. Yeah.
Okay, so say you broke your arm again. Well, then I'd be sad. Okay, and then you've broken your arm twice before. And what happened? Are you still alive? Are you still here? Are you, yeah? Did you,
Maybe the broken arm isn't a good example for him anymore.
Girl, that is
he's like, Mom, you haven't kept breaking your arm.
because it's been twice already in the past 2 years, and it has been so traumatizing.
They're really bad, yeah.
Because it hasn't been like, a little fracture. Like, I see some kids breaking their arms, and they're, hanging out 5 weeks later. Like, for him,
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
been,
He's had major breaks.
Yeah.
They're not like a little sprain or nothing.
No. So that's the only thing I can relate to, because he doesn't do, and it's been sports related, but he just rather just be inside in a bubble, wrapped up. So I'm trying I don't want him to be fearful of the world,
Right.
Fearful of doing things. Like, I don't want him to be afraid and just stay inside because he's fearful of what's going to happen if I, leave this house. So I know it says to not talk them out of it, but I am trying to talk him out of having fears. Like, because we all have fears.
Braden was afraid of storms. So anytime there was a storm, if there was a hurricane, if there was we didn't live through any kind of traumatic storm or anything. Just what he would hear on the weather. I wouldn't turn the weather on. I wouldn't watch the news. We would discuss, okay, it's water, it's rain. We would look at, what causes the lightning, what causes the thunder. We really had to explain stuff. We used to, have to pull on the side of the road, and he'd throw up. He'd be so
when
sick.
It was storming.
And yes. Mm-hmm. And with football games, he'd be so nervous before a game, he would puke.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And it took a long time, and it honestly, it was something that he really just had to grow out of, because as much as I talked to him about it, as much as I educated him, as much as we would ride to the game, listening to whatever pumped up music we could think of, it was something that he just had to grow out of. And I don't know if I helped or if I made it worse or last longer by talking about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that with you a little bit, Monica, from sports perspective. And our son Cameron did the same thing. Like, he wouldn't necessarily always get, like you said, I think it was more so their nerves, or maybe even anxiety with kids at that point, because Cameron has played rec ball. He's played travel ball. We've traveled all around, I feel like, the U.S. to a certain degree. So my son has done a lot of things, but there would be times, I remember when he was younger, that I feel like maybe it was just the pressure sometimes of sports or playing sports, that maybe coaches and others, just kind of like, hey, we got to go out there, and they really rile the kids. So, which is a good thing, but then I think the kids may just feel like a lot of pressure on themselves. And a lot of times I would do the same thing. I would just, kind of try to talk him through it, and we would get in the I would get him in the car or something, like in between like a baseball game, if it was a tournament. And I would just talk to him and I'll say, okay, well, let's just pray before you go out on the field. If you're scared, I would tell him, I say, okay, let's pray about it. We get together, we pray about it. I said, it's just you and God out there, just do what you got to do. Just do your best, because that's it, And I think kids themselves, like you said, it was a fearful moment of them of maybe if they just didn't exceed at a certain level or a certain expectation. But it's just interesting that you said that, your son could also develop like had certain anxiety or just, so riled up about sports and probably how they would produce out on the field or court or wherever they were at. But I just think a lot of that may have just had to deal with the competition or coaches, in my opinion, from all of that. But I think it happens to a lot of kids.
Yes,
So Braden outgrew it and Cameron outgrew it?
Yeah, I think Cameron as he got older, because like now, like he's in college now and plays basketball. And now I have to it's not a fear, but sometimes I talk to him of, I forgot what Rock calls it, but I tell him like, okay, when you're out on the court, don't get out there talking trash. Cause I hate to see kids doing that. Uh-huh. And I'm like, just because he could be really good or dominant over someone, he'll do certain moves or motions on the court. He may not say it, but I'm like, your actions, like your hand movements or certain things you do, like if he pushes his hands down, like saying that means that you're small ball to him. Like, so there's certain things that you're not, verbally saying, but physically you're saying to other players. And I'm like, I would be on the sidelines like, no, don't do that. Yelling. Mm-hmm. And the parent like, no. I was like, that's not who I want you to be. So, but he grew out of it. And I think over time it does help kind of, even with the sports and other things, it builds their confidence of doing certain things, and you just run with it.
The next thing, Shiney, did you want to hop on the whole fear thing?
No, I didn't really understand that question. I fear it.
You fear the question?
I don't ask that. I don't have an answer for that question.
Okay, next.
And that's all I got to say about that.
So in your home, you try to take away, you want to acknowledge fears. You're not trying to take away, just you want them to be fearful of stuff if they're fearful of it.
Yes, I'm raising God-fearing children, yes.
I love you.
Be afraid, children. Be very afraid.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the next thing, there's 2 more points that were on this article. And the next one is, do not assume they'd never harm someone. And in the article, it was mostly talking about boys and girls, like hurting a girl. And not assuming, not assuming that your boys know what no means. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what it was saying. So don't assume that your boys wouldn't be that boy to quote unquote hurt someone, harm someone. So I guess teaching. I haven't had that conversation with Khalil yet. He's not really there yet when it comes to girls. He's not really interested right now. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure when the time comes, like no is no.
No is no. That's why I tell myself
consent is consent, and you have to know for sure that she wants to be with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm like, one time is enough. Mm-hmm. That's what I told Ken. I said, once is enough. And I still preach that to this day while he's off to school. And sometimes I'll text him. I'll be like, hey, mm-hmm. I'll just text him little stuff just as reminders. Cause I think especially, as kids get older, maybe Monica can, chime in or feel the same about it. But, when they get off and go away to school as boys, like I say, that was, or still kind of is one of my ordeals with him that I just said, because, you're off, you're at college. Mm-hmm. And for me and my household, like the rest of you all have more than one child. Mm-hmm. So we have one child. He's been the only child. And so I always have to think about, he's never really had anything else to bounce off of others besides just his peers, and they're probably no better than you. Mm-hmm. They're your friends, so it's just, whatever your mom and dad or people that we've had around you to kind of, help or assist. But I'm like, now you're away from us, just hoping that you think about the things that we have taught you and tried to instill in you. And that's why I say periodically, I still will just text him sometimes, because not a couple weeks because they just went back. But while they were still in, I know he texted Rock and I to say that him and a friend was going to go to get some food, or they wanted to go do something or whatever. And it was a girl. So, and Rock had asked him to send the picture. And yes, it was a white female. So then I was like, hey, okay, just to make sure, just remember what I have said, because these are things that you are also in a very white area of North Carolina. Don't forget where you're at. You know what I'm saying? I just have to and I hate that I have to do that, but society teaches me that I have to make sure you are aware and you understand, and don't get so caught up in a girl or in the moment that if she says no or whatever, that you need to know, okay, no is no. Once is enough. That's it.
Exactly.
I don't care who she is.
Yep.
That's it. Once is it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Monica?
Brayden, so not to be talking about my brothers or bringing anything in, but one of my brothers was sexually active at a very young age. So for me, I was like, okay, you're 11. Let's have the conversation. Let's do it.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's because we lived in Switzerland and your sexuality and your even just being naked or whatever,
It's not like Americans.
It's a different culture than maybe what,
Americans are prudish. They're more prudish.
So with Brayden, his dad was not having the talk. And I'm like, okay, cool. Don't have the talk. I will. And I'm very open and honest, to the point where, yes, it was known, no is no. And I check on him. I ask his girlfriend. I don't care. Even boiling down to protection.
Right.
Are you being safe? Because Miss Amy right here, she's cute. She's nice. She takes birth control. That's nice. What else?
Right.
What else? Because
but that's the truth.
Yeah.
That is the absolute.
Maybe I'm on like a whole nother level. I don't know.
We're like that in my home. I'm so honest with them, but I'm just not there with Khalil yet, because he's 12 and he's not even remotely
interactive.
He's not even remotely interested. But I'm having these conversations with Kaylin. With Kaylin, who's 19, and we're having these conversations, and I've had them with her at age 11. Yeah, 11, because she asked. I'm like, if you're going to ask, I'm going to tell you the truth.
I mean, you have to be responsible.
I don't sugarcoat.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I don't make up things I don't make up. I don't call it, I call it a penis and I call it a vagina. I don't make up little quirky nicknames for crap. Yeah. It is what it is.
Me neither.
And if you're going to ask me, you're going to get the truth. Yeah. I'm not going to elaborate. Corinne will ask me, it's age appropriate.
It's just you give enough information for you to understand and know what to do with it.
I only give what you've asked. I'm not going to elaborate if you're not ready for it. But man, these kids ask me stuff and I'm like, all right, let's talk about it. So I get it. That's how I am too, Monica.
I elaborate.
Well, no, if they ask me, I do. Well,
because friends. And because you don't know.
At 19, I elaborate.
Jordan over here, I'm going to tell you, it feels good, but then your penis can have warts on it. So.
Well, and I'm with Monica to that, to a certain.
I don't do it to a 10-year-old, is what I'm saying. I don't elaborate at 10. Like Corinne asks me stuff, my youngest, she'll ask me stuff. I'm not going to elaborate to a 10-year-old. But once you're 18, 19, 16, and you're doing those things, oh no, we're talking about it.
I would say to Cameron before, I'm like, okay, and I'm like Monica, I'm like, okay, if you are doing it or start doing it, I wasn't sure if he would ever actually tell me yes, and that's fine. But I was just like, okay, so if you start itching, there's a problem. Yeah, just. I say if you itch, you need to come to me because we need to take you to the doctor.
That's not normal.
It's not normal. It's not normal to itch, burn. So anything that's abnormal. We need to. You need to come to us so I can get you some help. What else are we gonna do? So yeah.
So I'm homeschooling, right? So I incorporated health class, because I started with anatomy because my books weren't in, because the whole world is probably homeschooling, this year, and my books weren't in, and science is my background, so I started with anatomy. And I decided I'm not going to skip over the reproductive system because they're 9 and 11. It's part of life. The first book I got was a boy's body book. But then I decided I'm going to get an old school book. And I'm going to teach them the boys and the girls. And when I showed my youngest, both of them, I showed them at the same time. I teach most of my lessons together, except, math and reading. They're, not the same levels. And when I showed my youngest, and it had a picture of the young girl all the way to the adult. And Dylan said, "Mimi, this is inappropriate." And I was like,
he's so cute.
And I'm like, I'm sorry.
You're like, let me maybe pump the brakes a little bit.
And he talks like that too. He's so,
because he has that like R is like a W and a P, and it's like he hasn't gotten it completely, but it's too cute. So I was like, okay, well, and so
he said, "Mother, I am not ready for this. I am only 9. This is above my pay grade."
But so I went lightly, and just like she said, I don't make up names either. That I obviously haven't talked to my kids about sex because my kids are too young. But I have talked to them about what the female's body and the male's body looks like, and I have just started teaching my oldest, about puberty and what a wet dream is, and just little tidbits on things that he will be entering if not already.
And the last item on the list was so sweet, and it says, "Do not stop hugging and snuggling them as they get older." And it's just saying that when sons get older and they're taller than you, they still want a hug from mom. And
even if
Dad.
they act like they don't sometimes.
Oh my gosh. I told Khalil, so as they get older, they just don't want hugs anymore?
They don't even really want to talk to you, let alone
what
kind of hug
age
sometimes.
though? Because we're still at that age where he comes to me. Like last night he came and I'm watching my crazy shows. I love Housewives because it's mindless television. Sometimes I don't want to think. I just want mindless just crap. So he comes and he knows some of the shows because he'll sit and watch them with me. But he hugs me and he lays with me and he's like, "Oh, mommy," and I'm like, "Please don't ever stop. Don't ever stop hugging me."
With Cameron, he kind of, as they get older, I guess just being the guy, it's like, "Hey, mom," it's like the 2 words, "Hey, mom," and then just keep moving. And I'm like, "Well, hey," so, but he would have his moments sometimes. It's definitely not as when they were young, when he was younger.
But did he hug you a lot when you, did you guys
younger?
cuddle? Yeah.
Yes. But then I hate to put it, it's almost like a marriage. You start off, then you 20 years in, you like, "Hey, love."
I don't want to hear that. I want all the hugs.
Yeah, well, Khalil may be different. I'll pray for him. But just as they get older, it's just not, they just not going to hug you every month. At least Cameron doesn't. He will hug you.
He's not going to hug me, but I'm going to hug him.
Yeah, so it's right. So there are times when if he comes into the house or we haven't seen him in a while, he's like, "Yeah, hey," then we get the hug, but not like not like on a daily basis or every other day. No, that's not happening. And then sometimes I'll say, "Well, hey, come here and give me a hug," and then he'll be like, "Hey, and I'll be like, no."
Like a side hug.
Yeah, like a little side
like you're
pat.
A stranger or something.
And then I will tell him, I say, "No, give me a proper hug."
Monica, does Brayden still hug you?
Yeah. Really an affectionate family, and even when he's here, and my son is big. My son is 6'3" and 230 pounds, and he's big old burly boy. I can't even believe I gave birth to that child. He was here on vacation for his little Christmas break or whatever, and he still, he sat by me, he hugged me. He doesn't kiss me on the mouth anymore.
You guys, wait, when did you guys? I don't kiss on the mouth either.
You don't? I don't know. I did with my boys, like give me a hug and a kiss goodnight, like that kind of thing. So he'll hug me and he kisses me on the cheek, or he'll, put his cheek there so I can kiss him on the cheek because he's too big or whatever.
He doesn't kiss you on the mouth because he's been doing things with that mouth, Monica. That's why.
I know. That's so.
I'm like, you may not be wanting to kiss him on the mouth at this age.
I don't think you want
I
that
did
mouth
a
on
couple
your
times.
lips.
I looked over at his girlfriend like, I know.
We're so nasty. It's Friday night, people. It is Friday night.
I'm not kissing my son on the mouth. I'm like, no. I'm a germaphobe anyway. So
I don't know where those lips have been.
where those lips been.
So Shiney, you and I are in the same boat because our kids are still at that age where they want lots of loving.
Yes.
They want loving, and I love it, and I'll take it.
Oh, absolutely. And you know that I talked to you about this because I'm sure you guys have read the 5 love languages. So they have the 5 love languages for children. It is so good. And I was going to say that all of the love languages work for our children too. And you can take a test, online, but you don't even have to because you can tell with your kids what they need. They'll usually tell you. And one of the things that this book said, and it's written by the same author, Gary Chapman, and it also says Ross Campbell. But one of the things it'll say is that some parents get in the habit, and this is for really young children, which some parents that work a lot and that are super duper busy will get in the habit of the only time they'll touch their children is when they dress them, put them in their car seat, dress them again, and put them to bed.
Really?
Oh, wow.
And that's their physical touch. And their reward is like they do well, they'll pat them on the back, they'll hug them, and it'll become this positive, this is what the book will say. The book says like it'll become that where the child will think, only when I do this good
deed or something then
I get the reward
affection
of this physical touch. And it says that, we need to give for
That's
free.
actually sad.
We need to give these hugs for free.
It's
really sad.
I mean, there's times where I'm like, Khalil, and I'll hug him, and I love you. I love you so much. Why are you saying that, Mommy? Cause I mean it, and I felt it, so I say it in the moment for no reason.
Like they'll go into their future relationship, and they'll be that unaffectionate husband or boyfriend, and their girlfriend is like, dude, hug me, hold me, have some intimacy with me, like, and they don't know how to be that.
Well, I see. There's a lot of men out there.
There's a lot of
Like Monica said, her family is an affectionate family. So her kids will be fine. Her boys will be affectionate boyfriends.
Yeah.
And one thing I just wanted to touch on that Leonette just said that is very important is, we've talked about a lot of different things.
Yes, we have. Goodness. We went all over the globe on this one.
But just about boys or raising young men is that to tell them that you love them.
Yes.
Because
words
so
of affirmation.
Because a lot of adults or just only think that you give this affection or this catering to the girls and not to the boys.
Yes. And people think that the boys don't need it.
That the boys don't need it. And I'm like, they do. They still need, affirmation, confirmation. Because if they feel they're loved at home, like you say, they'll go out and have, hey, I want to be able to love somebody. I want to share that same type of, emotional
And
experience.
I think
with
also
someone.
they're going to be very secure men.
Yes.
They're going to know who they are because of what they got from home. So when they go out into the world, they're not going to be these men to these women that are just like, oh, I don't know how to love. And I mean, we see that with men like,
all the time.
Love is confidence.
Yeah.
What was that?
Love is confidence.
Love is
so they're going to go out there and they're going to find someone and they're going to give their all to that woman because they're confident in who they are. They're confident in what has been instilled in them. And I mean, I'm married to a man that is so confident in who he is because his parents instilled that. They gave him love. They showed him affection. They disciplined when they had to discipline. And he's just so confident.
And love is discipline too. Like
Yeah.
the most secure man is one that felt loved,
all of it.
secure,
Boundaries.
disciplined. Yeah, all of that.
And it shows because I can be a nutcase. And no, seriously, I can do things that another man would be like, oh my gosh, you hurt my feelings. And like be so insecure in what I've said and done When Philip is like, this chick is crazy and has nothing to do with me and she got to get her shit together. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference in how they respond to you.
To it, yeah.
Like,
it's not a personal attack for him. He's like,
he doesn't get offended.
Let me let her get herself together because I'm fine. He's like, I'm fine.
That's a Leonette problem, not a Philip problem. Do you guys have anything else? I feel like we've covered a lot, but do you have anything else that we haven't touched on that you would love to add to the conversation?
One of the things that I do in my school is life lessons. So one of the things I say to my boys every morning is as soon as they get up, I say, open your windows and let God's light in. I say, make your beds, get ready for the day. And I made them a little list, and I'm not going to read everything, but I brought it with me because I thought you guys would maybe get a kick out of it. And I just wrote, make your bed and make mine too, please. Brush your teeth, floss, not the dance. Daily face cream, take multivitamins, take allergy. Let's skip some of them. Dress for the day, wear clean underwear every day. The fact that I had to even say that, one of the days, one of my boys, not going to name names, told me that he was in the same pair for 3 days.
Oh.
And when I got that report, I realized I needed to add it to the list.
You have to be detailed with these boys.
Yes,
Details.
Yes. Details count.
You're going to have to tell him that a long time.
Pray every day, practice your piano, keep your room clean, wear deodorant daily.
Yes.
Take a shower every day, wash your face, things like that. And add one thing to your gratitude journal. So that's one of the things that we started doing. And that really helped.
That is so
because
sweet.
It is not happy people that are grateful. It is grateful people that are happy. So, and that is one of the things that I say to my kids too. And I said, start and end your day with a good attitude.
That is so sweet.
So some of the things that I say, and it's really like life lessons, because truthfully, if we don't teach these like little life lessons here and there on a daily basis, like wear clean underwear and have a good attitude, they may not. They'll be like 20 and wearing dirty underwear
Nasty ass
and
underwear.
have a bad attitude.
Yes. Nobody wants nasty ass underwear and a bad attitude.
Exactly.
So, any other closing remarks before we get out of here?
I do just want to say I have met Monica and seen her a couple times throughout the years of Leonette and I being friends. Good to see you on Zoom. And Shiney, like the sun. It has been a pleasure to meet with you and encounter with you ladies. I just think the perspective from everybody has been great.
Likewise.
And it's just always good to see women of all different cultures, race, to still, all of us still have, at the end of the day, the same wants for our children, especially for our boys, because it's going to be a little rough for them out there. But, we all just want to have the same thing. We just all want them to be treated fairly and, just be the best of who they can be in this world. And I think the information you ladies have shared was great information. And, what we speak and what we put out into this world, hopefully others can gain from it. I love your list. You're going to have that list for a long time with these boys and with your little ones. But it is an awesome list, and I do love your gratitude for them, because you're right. It's not also about just what we do, but what we teach them what to do for others.
I will end with this quote that was shared on Facebook by Corley Freeman Davis. She shared that her grandmother used to say this to her. God doesn't give us what we can handle. God helps us handle what we are given. Thank you so much for listening to Virago 24/7. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and please give us 5-star ratings. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Virago 24_7 and on Facebook at Virago 24/7. And just connect with us and share your story. We'd love to hear from you.